Very warm welcome to day 3 of International Leadership Week 2021. I'm Katie Clark, Business Development Manager at the Institute of Leadership and Management. Just before we start our topic today on building outstanding and efficient teams with Birgitta Sjöstrand, I wanted to share with you a short introduction to the Institute. We're a professional body focusing on developing leadership capability for over 70 years to achieve our core mission to inspire great leadership everywhere. We have an engaged community of over 50,000 leaders and managers at every stage in their career across all industry sectors and covering over 70 countries. We're delighted to bring International Leadership Week to you for a third year, and thank you to our sponsors who've helped make that happen, Belbin and Edinburgh Business School. As mentioned today, I'm delighted to be joined by Birgitta, based in Sweden. Birgitta specialises in leadership, communication and empowering middle managers, and has recently released a book, Outstanding in the Middle, about how to excel in all aspects of middle management. So without further delay, I'm delighted to hand over to Birgitta. Over to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Katie, for introducing me, and thank you for inviting me to this wonderful week of leadership training. And I've been listening into several of my peers, and we've had a wonderful time, and hopefully everybody listening in or watching this thinks this is a really worthwhile time to join as well. So I will talk to you about team development today, because I do work a lot with teams, and I do work, of course, a lot with middle managers, top managers, but also all kinds of different teams. And we're coming into a time when people are coming back to work, but we also have teams scattered over the globe. So we will talk a little bit about that. I have a few slides today that I want to share. And so it's really two parts that I want to talk about: the group developments, the 4 stages and factors for efficient teams, and also look at cultural differences. I work in Sweden, but I lived abroad for a long time, and I do work internationally, and it does matter what country your team are, what countries that you manage teams in for your group development. Yes, this is, I'm Birgitta Sjöstrand, and I've also you heard from Katie, so I'm not going to linger here, but I live in Sigtuna in Sweden, and I used to trade foreign exchange and money markets in London. That's why I probably don't sound as Swedish that you probably would think. I work internationally with both smaller and larger corporations and organizations, and I've been having my own founder and my own company since 2003. So I've been doing this for some time. I want to start with quite a few years ago, Google's Aristotle project came out, and they talked a lot about the psychological safety that we need in our teams. Teammates to feel safe, to take risks around their team members. They feel confident that no one in the team will embarrass or punish anyone else for admitting a mistake or asking a questions or offering a new idea. And to feel psychologically safe, we need to be in stage 3, which I will go through in a minute. And we also need the dependability, that the people in the group rely completely on the quality, you get the quality work on time. And you need structure and clarity that we always need, regardless of what stage we're in. And it has also to have a sense of meaning, that you find a sense of purpose, and that can be very individual, so you have to get to know your team members. But also most team members feel that they want to have an impact in the world. But how to get there then? I've studied with Susan Whelan, and Dr. Whelan, she came up with 4 stages of group development. It's the dependency and inclusion state, fight and counter dependency state, trust and structure, or work or productivity. And the first stage is dependency and inclusion. And when you put the team together, even if you are a middle manager and you hand pick people in your group or for a project, they will look to you as the leader and be dependent on you, and they trust and admire you to some extent to start with, but their focus will be on being accepted and belonging to the group. And people here are very show courtesy. They listen, they want to fit in, they don't want to be on the side, they don't want to be left out, and they do as the rest of the group. And this is regardless of level. I mean, I work with top management level, and they're still looking around. Is this where I'm supposed to be? Do I belong? It takes some time to sort of settle in the group. Because all the goals and the roles, they're a bit unclear and you don't really know. So the main task here is to clarify what goals we have and create a structure and open communication. It's so important that everyone gets to know everybody else, and it's regardless where in the world the team is. So if you have a team that are scattered around the globe, make sure they take their time to get to know each other, even if it's through Teams or Zoom or whatever digital platform you're using. It's really important that you get to know your team members, every single member, and also that they get to know each other. Then after a while, it can take 2 months, it can take 6 months, depending on how much you actually meet up and see each other or talk to each other. When you come to stage 2, people start to be a little bit more comfortable in the group. So subgroups are forming, and you get, you have your besties, and you talk to certain people more than other people, and you start, I shouldn't say start fighting against each other, but you start to question maybe the leadership, maybe other people, maybe their competence. There will be open competition. There could be dissatisfaction. Somebody's not delivering on time. There might be scapegoats within the team, but this can also be us and them for another department, or that you start, there is problems with systems or something. There is a lot of, you don't think it's as fun to go to work anymore. But it can also be open conflicts, of course. As a leader, it's so important that you encourage factual conflicts and not personal conflicts, because personal conflicts doesn't lead anywhere. But, if people get to know each other early, this stage can be shorter. And you resolve conflicts by updating and developing goals and roles and structure and tasks. You need to know what task and what needs to be done and who is doing it. And you have to be sometimes quite firm. Very often when teams are in this stage 2, that's when managers needs help. That's very often when I and my peers doing the same type of things, that's when they call us. Hello, come and help. We don't have enough tools in our toolbox to get past this stage 2. In the book I wrote last year, Outstanding in the Middle, there are 9 different group exercises that you can go through to keep you to move further and quicker through stage 2. Then things settles down and we come to stage 3, trust and structure. Suddenly people are doing what they're supposed to do. Goals and roles are clear, consensus are reached more often, there's more flexible communication, and subgroups and conflicts are less threatening, and differences are allowed. And here we have, the Google Aristotle project. Now we have psychological safety. It's okay to be different. It's okay to come up with ideas and nobody will laugh at you, and it's okay to brainstorm and come up with the most ridiculous things, and people think, oh yeah, well, let's carry on. Because you've gone through the conflicts, the trust increases. If you've had a fight with someone and clear the air, you can then work better together. And it's the same with group development as well as in life. So keep adjusting structures and role distribution, important. And we have a stage 4. Then you as a manager might not even have to be there very much. You are more of an advisory type of person because the people are working hard. They know exactly what they're doing, everything gets done, it's open communication, everybody's heard, subgroups are functional and flexible, and all the energy goes to the work. And 80% is efficient work, and that's what you want to do. The problem with the stage 4 is to create renewal, because after a while, you know, when you work and everything is going well, you get a bit bored, right? It's not enough challenges. So it's to create renewal as the manager, to keep people on their toes and really want to do more. So the critical factors for effective teams is clear goals, clear roles, good leadership, always good leadership, clear communication and feedback, discussion, decision-making and planning, implementation and evaluation, norms and individual differences, clear structure and collaboration, and transparent conflict management. Sounds easy, doesn't it? It's not really that easy, because you need to know what you're doing, and you need to get to know your team. And if you see your team every day, it's fine, because you get to know them, you know where you're at, you know what everybody's thinking, because you talk to them all the time, and you resolve your issues when they come up. But after a while, you might, become a middle manager, you have other teams, and you have team leaders in different countries maybe, and you need to expand and get to know other cultures as well. But for the looking at taking your teams from, let's, stage 1 and 2 to the stage 3 and 4, you will see automatically that if you're in a stage 3 and 4, they have more satisfied customers and managers in the service sector, and produces more goods in the manufacturing industry, and manages money better in the financial sector, and has more surviving patients in intensive care, and that's good when you go to the hospital, and has students who perform better on national tests in the school world, because of course the teachers feel secure and they don't have to fight between themselves. So looking at then the virtual teams, because you might not, even today, you might have people scattered, they might still work from home, and it's easier to have self-sufficient people that can lead themselves. And it's quite hard to manage junior staff that need a lot of help, especially if they sit at home. You probably recognize this. But you also need to trust that people do the work and not micromanage people, because they just don't like that very much. So get to know your people, regardless if they are in the office or somewhere else, and get to know their strengths and weaknesses, so you know what tasks will suit them better. And be there, be available, give support, because it's hard to be away from your manager, even if it's only within the same city, but if it's abroad, definitely. So it's extra important to have the clear communication, both ways, obviously, that you need them to talk to you as well and feel secure enough to talk to you, and also be aware of cultural differences. And that's what we're going to look at now, because regardless of distance, you need to have common thoughts models, tasks, goals, methods, work processes, and role distribution, and having the positive emotional climate. So even if you have teams meeting with the whole team, that it has to be an even distribution in times where people talk, speaking space. So it's not just a couple of people speaking the whole time, and bringing some joy and curiosity so people feel harmony and security. because if you don't have this, you'll have problems, and you might be in a stage 2 team. Let's look at a few then different few cultural differences. I love this. We have on this axis low context and high context countries. What does that mean? Low context mean that you have to be super clear on what you're saying. People looking at the countries to the left, you see United States, Germany, UK, Sweden. There are countries that have had a lot of influences and from other countries, and they have traveled a lot, and they have a lot of immigrants, and you need to be clear and concise because people come from all over the place. Looking at the other side, the high context. The high context, we have it at the very end, Japan, but we have China, India, Russia, and even France is on that side. And that means that you read the air. You don't have to be, people talking there, they are not super clear. They can talk in metaphors, or you have to read the air of what they need and what they want. People in Japan might look at people in the States as somebody that's a bit childish because they have to spell everything out, because you would just know by being in the space. While people in the States, they don't understand. They think they're very, very, how can I say, fluffy, and they don't understand Japanese because they're not spelling things out and they're not very clear and concise. So if you have teams in these various places, if you have teams that are in the States, be very clear and concise. If you have teams in Japan, you might need to read up a little bit more about their culture so they actually accept you as their leader, because that might not be as easy as you think it is. I have a few different slides. Egalitarian and hierarchical, which I find very interesting. Being Swedish, Sweden is at the very, very left of the egalitarian. We don't really have hierarchies at all. I remember when I was a child, I always spoke to my teachers by their first name, even in kindergarten. And my parents' friends were all first name basis, and even at work later on, I could talk to the managing director or the CEO, no problem, when they walked past with their first name. Then later I moved to the UK, which is not even halfway towards the hierarchical, and it was such a hierarchy. It took me years to understand it. It was so hard. And looking further to the right, to the hierarchy, it's harder and harder. You would think that the UK is pretty flat and egalitarian, but compared to Sweden, it's not. So this is interesting if you have groups in various countries. If you talk to your group, say that you're a UK manager and you have a group of Swedish people, they will automatically talk to you in your first name. You will be first name basis from day one, and they will tell you quite bluntly what they need and want, because they don't see you as somebody being very sort of in a different area from them. They think it's very flat. Everyone can sit wherever they want in a meeting and that sort of thing. Looking further to the hierarchical, say Japan, India, Russia, you just can't talk to anybody that is higher than you. You sort of go through your manager and up the ladder. And also if, because I have worked with some Japanese people, and they want, if they send someone at a certain level, they want to meet from a company at the same level, and they will sit at certain places at the table. You can't just sit anywhere. It's very important that in which order people speak and all that sort of thing. So say that you have, that you're a manager, say for a group of people in let's say India, they might not tell you bluntly what they need and want. And if you want to do group development exercises with the people there, you might give them things for them to talk amongst themselves first before you, and then they come up with the answers to you, and you might not be there to facilitate them, because then they might be quiet. They might not want to talk to you. They want you to tell them what to do, rather than you listening into what they need and what they want to do. So this is quite, it's tricky. So read up on what countries that you have your team in. This is another fun one, confrontational and avoids confrontation. People in France, if you are, I say France because France is at the very left of this confrontational chart. Even if you are invited to a dinner party in France, they will speak in such a manner that you will think that they're fighting if you are Swedish, because we Swedes, we don't like confrontation. We are more quiet. We haven't been at war for 200 years. You know, we don't like confrontation. The UK is more in the middle. China, India, Japan is more on the right-hand side. And you would think that Sweden and Brazil are near here, but they're not, because we have to put another axis in. If they are emotionally expressive or emotionally inexpressive. And looking at Sweden, we are emotionally inexpressive, but Brazil, they're very expressive. So this chart, if you can't see this, if you're just listening in, emotionally expressive and confrontational, we have France, we have the Netherlands, and confrontational and emotionally inexpressive, we have Germany. More stone-faced. They are confrontational, but they're not, you know, all over the place and giving you all their feelings. The United States and the UK, they're more in the middle. And looking at, say, Brazil and India and a lot of the countries around the equator, they are more emotionally expressive, but not too confrontational. And looking at the bottom right, avoid confrontation and are emotionally inexpressive, we have the you know, China, Japan, but also Sweden, but not as far away. So when you now have your teams in different countries, there are so many more of these. Get to know both the country's culture, because you can't just go on the culture you come from, because it might not work at all. So get to know them, both the people, but also the country, so you know how to do and how to adjust and how to be the best leader you can be, and ask for help. Talk to people, ask for help. So if you're interested to learn more, this is the book, Outstanding in the Middle, How Middle Managers Make the Difference. And I think I'll invite Katie in case there were any questions that's come up. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Hello, Birgitta. Thank you so much for a great presentation.
Oh, God, I can talk for so long, and I had a bit of a technical problem, so I got a little bit, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. I do have some questions for you.
Okay.
So going back to stage 4 in your model for developing groups.
Yeah, in the Susan Whelan's, yeah.
Yes. Someone's asked, any hints or tips for renewal?
Yes, involve them in new projects.
Brilliant.
Because otherwise, you know, if you just do the same thing over and over and over again, you get really bored. So if there are new projects or something, you know, maybe they need more training in something that they can then train the others. You know, it's a lot of people doing train the trainer from stage 4 groups, that they go away, learn something new, take it back and teach the group.
Brilliant.
That's an excellent thing. Or new projects, stretch them, make them do new things.
Absolutely. And I've got some great comments coming in here. Someone said, as a Frenchman, I can totally confirm that, and this has been brilliant. I've also got, how do we create high performing teams over multiple geographies?
It's harder. And I think that the more they get to know each other, the better, because you need to be safe with each other to come with new ideas. Because if you don't feel safe in the group to come with a new idea, you will not give that new idea. So ask them to have, you can have digital coffee times, or go for walks and talks, even if you are scattered around. But get the people to get to know each other and allow time for that, because that will pay off in the long run, definitely. And if you come, are able to go and see them, to travel, hopefully it will open up so we can actually travel and see each other again. That helps.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's been such a hard, couple of years now, but hopefully it will open up so we can start actually seeing each other a little bit more in person, because you get to know each other so much quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing really beats face-to-face interaction, does it?
And also when you get together, if you take your team from one country and go to another country, allow time for them to get to know each other before you start working with things.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
Yeah.
I've got another question as well. Any tips for how you can influence if you aren't the manager, but you're in a stage 2 team?
In a stage 2, yeah. In a stage 2, it's hard, especially if you're not the manager. But maybe to talk about setting up playing rules, have a meeting. What rules should we, the playing rules comes from the, like football and the, games. But how do we conduct ourselves within this team? What is okay to do and what is not okay to do? Is it okay to talk about somebody that you have an issue with? Maybe not. Maybe you should talk to that person, and also have set up rules. How do we give each other feedback? So we know it's hard to give feedback. It's hard to receive feedback. But if you have rules on how to do it and you stick to that, and if somebody then are breaking a rule that you have, give them feedback straight away. So you have set structures for everything. It's tough. If you do that, your stage 2 will be short, and you want to stay there as not a long time. I've worked with groups that the managers called me in, and they've been stuck in a stage 2 group for 15 years. And it took us a year, and I was there for every month for a year, working with the manager and the group, and then we could get on. But yeah, you don't want to get stuck there.
I think that's a really interesting point. That this idea of building these rules and building this shared team culture that kind of transcends geographical and cultural boundaries, and you come together as a team, and in that team you have your own set of rules. I think that's a really interesting point. We are running out of time.
Everybody needs to buy into those rules, and everybody needs to have a saying what rules they should be.
Absolutely.
But the rules can't come from the topic. The rules have to come from the people. Important.
It is important, actually. Yeah, I think that's a really good point to kind of end this webinar on. So massive thank you, Birgitta. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for our audience for the great questions.
Thank you. And if anybody has more questions or anything, give me a ping. I'm on LinkedIn, of course. So befriend me and ask questions, and I will be there. I promise.
That's superb. Thank you so much, Birgitta.
Okay, thank you.
For our audience, if you would like to engage in any further discussion on our website or approach Birgitta directly, then please go to institutelm.com and access the hub. Or alternately, use the hashtag on our social post, hashtag ILW21. Thank you to Birgitta once again, and thank you to our sponsors, Belbin and Edinburgh Business School. Thank you so much, and goodbye.
Goodbye.